Spring is calling in Newport, and there's so much happening in May. There's Bloom Newport, a family-friendly spring festival that brings color and community to town, the Newport Marathon, a crowd favorite known for its vast scenic course, and the always amazing Oregon Coast Aquarium is also expanding and opening its brand new Amazon rainforest exhibit, not to mention all the seafood you could possibly want, but just not at the aquarium. That's separate. Start planning your May getaway to the coast at discovernewport.com/spring. That's discovernewport.com/spring.
The International School of Portland is celebrating its 35th birthday this year. It's one of only 2 schools in the entire United States that has 3 full language immersion programs under one roof, teaching in Chinese, Japanese, and Spanish. It's also the first school in the Pacific Northwest to offer the renowned International Baccalaureate Primary Years program. They're now enrolling students from preschool to 5th grade for fall of 2026. Sign up for a personal tour at intlschool.org.
This is CityCast Portland. I'm Claudia Meza, and this is what Portland's talking about. Today on CityCast Portland, all the red flags the city missed by funding a floundering shoe manufacturing company in Old Town, the possible renaming of César Chávez Boulevard, and can an Oregon couple save Bagby Hot Springs from itself? With me are Willamette Week City Hall reporter Sophie Peel and our very own hot spring-loving executive producer, John Notarianni.
That's me.
Hi, Claudia.
Hello. You guys, I'm so glad you're here. Sophie, I was actually literally thinking to myself this morning, when's the last time I spoke to Sophie? What is she even doing now?
A week ago, I think we may have exchanged a few texts.
I was like, is she still a reporter?
It's been too long. Is she alive?
I'm glad you stuck with it.
Thank you. Like life or...
And reporting.
Yeah.
I'm glad you're here. Well, before we jump into the news, I always ask an opening question so any new CityCasters out there know what they're getting themselves into. And today's opening question is inspired by the one and only City Councilor Steve Novick, who recently told problematic commercial real estate broker Brian Owendoff via email to, and I quote here, "Shut your racist mouth and stop cluttering up our emails." And then, only a few minutes later, followed up that email by saying, "In addition, Mr. Owendoff, I would strongly advise you to F yourself in the heart," except he used the full 4-letter curse word, and the only reason I'm not repeating it is because it's such a weird turn of phrase. It actually makes me uncomfortable.
Man, I've never heard that one. I've heard, like, the classic version of it.
Yeah.
I was thinking, like, what would that look like? And I'm not sure I get it.
I like, F yourself in the what? It made me wonder, like, I was like, is this the first time he's ever cursed in his life?
Yeah, it's like when a 10-year-old
he's
tries
just test driving it? Like, yeah, totally. Sophie, could you quickly explain why Councilor Novick would want Mr. Owendoff to F himself in the heart?
Yes, I could. So about a month ago now, maybe 6 weeks ago, the Portland Mercury reported this piece. Basically, they had gotten screenshots of a bunch of texts that Owendoff had been sending a couple of close associates during a long city council meeting. And within those text messages, he said some pretty racist stuff. He called Councilor Angelita Murillo a burrito. He said Councilor Samir Kanal was gay, or maybe something about his hair style that day. He said some just deeply, deeply offensive things. I think, he made fun of Councilor Koyama Lane's appearance. I mean, it was just bad. Basically, he targeted, like, all the people of color on council. And so I think rightly so, many councilors came out with some scathing comments about, like, please don't come into City Hall. You're not welcome here. And so I believe that is what Councilor Novick's comments were born out of. And I think he did on the dais, like, maybe a week after it happened, called Owendoff odious, which I think it's an underused word, and I think people should use it more. And I've since used it for other purposes because it's a good one.
At least twice now.
Yeah, I don't know, maybe 5 times.
Well, so my question to y'all is this. What is your favorite Steve Novick moment. And as a reminder, this man has been in public service for most of his adult life. He's a former U.S. Department of Justice litigator and has served as a city commissioner in our previous form of government. So this is a loving tribute.
Oh my gosh. Okay, I want to go first, and I can do one better. I can actually play you the audio. Let's play the clip.
U.S. Senate candidate Steve Novick fought corporate polluters and defeated Bill Sizemore. But would you want to have a beer with him?
I agree. I think most Democrats are still pretty frustrated. We're just not seeing real progress on the big challenges we're facing. If we're going to get out of Iraq, fix the broken healthcare system, stop global warming, we can't afford just politics as usual. It's going to take a whole different level of courage.
Steve Novick. He's always found a way to get things done.
I'm Steve Novick, and I approve this message.
Now, what you just heard in that commercial was Steve Novick talking with a constituent over a beer. He then reaches out, takes the constituent's closed beer, and with his hook hand, because remember, Steve Novick has a hook for a hand, uses it to open the bottle of beer. That is the ad that Mr. Novick put out when he was running for office.
I mean, I kind of knew, since I know that he has a hook for a hand, I knew what was happening, but like, I want to see his face. What about you, Sophie?
Well, I have a lot of Steve moments that I think are really delightful. I mean, I wasn't here like when he previously served on city council, so I really only know, I guess I talked to him a few times before he got, reelected, but really my experience with him has been like the past 18 months, and he's kind of a delight, very funny. So I would say like during every council meeting, he has one or two phrases that are just like, no one else says things the way that Steve says them, like the phrasing, the words, the analogies. But this one, I was just scrolling through, like, sometimes he'll send me a joke or two. And this wasn't necessarily a joke, but I was asking some counselors when the whole, like, Portland Housing Bureau funds were getting discovered and the number kept changing. I had sent him a text and I said, is the number you heard about additional PHB funds 18 to 20 million? He texted back and he said, sorry for the delayed response. I initially heard that it was 4.5 gazillion. And I just thought it was like such the brevity, the delivery. It was just such a Steve moment.
Yeah, no, he's been on the show and he's hilarious. But yeah, my moment is that his tagline for a Senate run was hooked on Novick. Yes. And then imagine him opening your beer. Like, it's so good.
What a guy.
Yeah. Well, here's to you, Steve. On to the news of the week. Sophie, you've got some updates on a story you've been following for the past year or so.
Yes. So
is this the final chapter?
I think so. I think it's finally the final chapter. I didn't think I was going to get a final chapter. I thought it was just going to like fade into nothingness for years. But yeah, it's sort of been like one of my pet projects over the past year and some change. And it's about a project in Old Town called Made in Old Town. It was this kind of group of men, like ex, Nike, Adidas guys, and then a couple like more local entrepreneurs who had envisioned this like 9-building shoe manufacturing and invention campus in Old Town. They made really big lofty promises about how it was going to reinvigorate, a pretty beleaguered neighborhood and how it was going to help Old Town kind of rise out of the ashes. And, they put on like a really great, I guess, marketing campaign, and they secured a $7 million loan from Prosper Portland, which is the city's economic development agency. They got a $2 million grant from the state legislature in 2024. They tried to get $25 million in Portland Clean Energy Fund money. They did not get that. They tried to get a couple other, sources of money from other local governments. But, in essence, they got $9 million from government to basically buy a building in Old Town and kind of have it be like the first building of this 9-building campus. And I kind of from the beginning was tracking how some of the claims they made in the documents when they were getting money from the legislature and from Prosper Portland were a little dubious, didn't always stack up. They were kind of claiming they had financing that they hadn't yet secured. And, the local officials that had kind of really championed this project, including actually Governor Tina Kotek, kind of soured on it. And, we had told the governor that Made in Old Town was basically going to planned to use some of the Prosper Portland loan to unlock the rest of the state grant. And the governor was very unhappy about that. I mean, essentially what they were doing is they were using one pot of public money to unlock more public money from a different government. So they were kind of playing them off of each other, which I think like elected officials were really not happy about it.
Public funding Ponzi almost, like a Ponzi scheme.
It is one way to do it. That is what I will say. So they got this money, and then I just kind of kept tracking it. And, it was very unclear, like, if they were even getting tenants in the building. They said they had like 8 letters of intent, but they refused to tell me how many leases they actually had in the building. They wouldn't tell me any of their progress. And then I also learned that they had, were in basically material default of the Prosper loan because they hadn't secured matching private funds that Prosper had basically required of them to get by a certain date. And I think it was a couple months ago that I had reported that. Prosper at the time said, look, they're still doing their monthly payments to Prosper on their loan, so we're okay with it. We want to see this project work. And then fast forward to March, and Prosper basically said, okay, we don't think this is viable anymore. So the new ED of Prosper, who is Cornell Wesley, he, said that, like, this just isn't going to work. And we're keeping all options on the table, including maybe repossessing the building. I don't know if that will happen. So I didn't include this in my article because I got it a couple of days ago, but I got a letter that Cornell Wesley had basically sent to the project 2 days after Willamette Week had reported that the very short-lived executive director of Made in Old Town had just resigned, a woman named Liz Rogers. He basically sent this letter to Made in Old Town being like, you didn't tell us about this. You need to immediately tell us what circumstances led to this. What's leadership going to look like in the interim? We have a meeting next week, and like we might even ask to actually come to the building to see what's going on there. I mean, he was like not happy. I should probably report that, but I forgot about that one.
Well, you're doing it here.
Yeah, there you go. As first heard on CityCast. So yeah, he was clearly like, what the hell? And Made in Old Town has just basically, their board, wrote something on their LinkedIn about the future is uncertain, but we remain hopeful. That sort of like kind of corporate, like not all is lost. But, from all, it would appear that project is basically dead. So, yeah.
Who would have guessed? Who could have foreseen?
Not me.
No.
It is literally like the moment that I heard that this project was going, it was coupled with the thought of, this could be a really cool thing, but how the heck is this going to work? And I don't feel like there was ever a moment when that was answered. I don't feel like throughout the entire development process of this idea. This is the sort of shiny new plan that we want for the city. And I think that a lot of it has sort of gotten by on a wish and a prayer of like, wouldn't it be great if this worked out? And it's like, yes, it would be great if this worked out. But I don't think anybody ever really thought it was going to. It's really frustrating.
Yeah. Is there still a link between this manufacturing company and the Old Town Association? Because I remember there was a strong connection.
Yeah, that was, I think, the first piece I wrote. I kind of dug into that a little bit. So the chair of the Old Town Community Association is a woman named Jessie Burke. She's very, I don't know if you want to say influential with the city, but, she gets their ear a lot. She's kind of everywhere. She's run for public office. Her husband is a guy named Jonathan Cohen, and he was one of the main principals of Made in Old Town. And the Old Town Community Association, not necessarily with buy-in from their actual membership, but did a lot to promote this project with Prosper.
Yeah.
And so, there was clearly like some gray area stuff going on there. Of course, Made in Old Town, Jesse and Jonathan all said it was like all kosher. It was all above board. Like they went through the process. But, I think there were a lot of onlookers that thought, there's something a little weird about this going on. Also, when Made in Old Town requested a grant from like a planning grant from Metro, they said most of the money was going to go to 2 quote unquote consultants on the project, which were also 2 of the main principals, this guy named Matthew Claudel and then Jonathan Cohen. So, there was just a lot of weird stuff going on. And I think like John said, like it sounds cool. Like, wouldn't it be awesome if Old Town like transformed into like this economic engine? But first of all, for shoes, like we got Nike and Adidas. Like we don't need more shoes.
And it's fine for private companies to take those sorts of bets. It's just, to my mind, not the sort of thing we should be doing with public money.
Exactly. Well, on to the next idea, I suppose. Let's take a quick break here. And when we come back, are we finally going back to 39th Avenue?
Hi, CityCast listeners. This is David Plotz. I'm the CEO of CityCast, but I also have another job. I'm one of the hosts of the Political Gabfest, Slate's politics podcast. Every week, I get on mic with my co-hosts Emily Bazelon and John Dickerson, and we talk about politics and a lot more about other things that we care about. The Gabfest has been going for more than 20 years because the 3 of us love talking to each other, and we have an amazing community of listeners. If you like the open-hearted, curious way CityCast approaches cities, I think you'll like the Political Gabfest too. Stream it on YouTube or wherever you get your podcast.
Okay, guys, so what I'm looking into is what our city is going to do about Cesar Chavez Avenue, formerly and or concurrently 39th Avenue. After all the sex abuse allegations that came out earlier this week against the revered union leader, Councilor Candace Avalos took to social media and said she had begun looking into the process and talking with community leaders about renaming César E. Chávez Boulevard after Dolores Huerta, who, if you didn't know, Dolores is one of the co-founders of the United Farm Workers Union, along with César Chavez and Gilbert Padilla, except César was, I guess, the most charismatic one could say in the speeches. And so that's the person that most people kind of globbed onto. But there were a lot of people part of that movement. And so all three were the leaders of this very important and influential labor and civil rights movement that brought humane working conditions and better pay to agricultural workers. And now that it's come out that Cesar Chavez allegedly sexually assaulted Dolores Huerta herself more than once, resulting in the birth of 2 children that she had to give up to basically hide the fact that this happened to her. Also, she came out and was like, and he was also kind of mean. Like, he emotionally abused me. It was also came out that he sexually abused 2 adolescent girls on a regular basis between 1972 and 1977. So these allegations, they're not, I don't want someone being like, oh, allegations. It's like, no, these people have confirmed it. And we're saying allegations because we don't want to get sued. And this is all just coming out now because nobody wanted to taint the legacy of the labor movement, including Dolores Huerta, who had to live with that all these years. So Chavez, who died in 1993, has schools named after him, statues, busts, streets. In California, March 31st is known as Cesar Chavez Day. And now everybody is scrambling. I saw videos of at least 2 colleges in California who quite literally just covered up his statue with moving blankets and duct tape. So it looked even more ominous. Like in the center of a plaza, there's just like this, like, don't look at this guy. And California introduced emergency legislation to rename the Cesar Chavez Day to just Farm Workers Day. What do you guys think? Should we go to Dolores Huerta or should we just go back to 39th? Sorry, I wonder what you think. I mean, I know I'm showing bias here, but like, I just remember getting so lost because I couldn't find 39th when I first moved here because they had just changed it. Did you have an experience like that too, John?
I do feel like it was a moment in my integration as a Portlander. I think I'd moved after or right when it had changed. But when it clicked in my brain that Cesar Chavez was 39th, I feel like that was a block of oh, now I understand how to get around the city.
I didn't until now, until 2 days ago, understand that. I get the number system. I totally get it. I get there's 27 and then you go to 28th and 29th. And for some reason, the Cesar Chavez thing just never clicked for me.
Well, just imagine moving here when they just turned it and people were still saying it's on 39th Street. And so you're driving around looking for 39th and you're I just see Cesar Chavez. Right. I remember that. It's getting lost in Lads and looking for 39th is getting hazed, in Portland.
I feel like that would be the most logical one. I get why people would want to
honor Dolores.
I totally get it. I think for me, it's that'd be awesome. And so would 39th. And I think whatever is easiest, let's just do it. Let's just get it done with and move on to the next thing.
Yeah, I mean, and unfortunately, the reality is that none of these things are easy or happen quickly in most circumstances. So I wanted to sort of bring in another story that's been popping around this week about A Park. Did you guys see the story on A Park?
Oh, yes.
So your colleague Rachel Saslow at Willamette Week did some great reporting on this. This is a park in Southwest Portland. It had formerly been named Custer Park. I think we all remember General Custer, not a great guy. So back in 2020, then Commissioner Amanda Fritz led an initiative to change the name of the park. But since it takes a long time to come up with a new name, she just named it A Park. And for 5.5 years, it has just been A Park.
So what are we thinking? A Boulevard?
Well, yes, a boulevard would have been much more elegant. So earlier this month, it was just announced they have a new name. It's going to be named Ishchitwaelnu, which is in the language that's spoken by several local native tribes, including Umatilla, Warm Springs, and Yakima. And there is going to be a naming ceremony actually happening this Saturday at the park. So a great conclusion overall, but it took 5 years to do it. And I have to imagine that a park, like, you know, it's hard to come up with a name for a park, but for a street that has addresses, that has businesses, that has residences along it, that has to be a much, much more complicated process as well.
Yeah. You know, a lot of these reactions, I think, are appropriate. Like, nobody wants to see a rapist's name in their city. But Michelle DePass, the vice chair of Portland Public School Board, had a really interesting thought. She said she did not plan to call for an immediate renaming, which she said felt reactionary, and instead, DePass said the situation presented a chance for a broader community conversation. This is a quote from the Oregonian here. "If we're renaming schools based on bad behavior of the original, mostly white, with a few exceptions, men, then my wish would be to have a conversation about who we are as a district, what dreams and outcomes we want for our kids, and whether we want to make a systems approach to considering all our school names to align with the 21st century values."
I think that we're in this problem because a lot of our schools' names previously aligned with our 19th century values, and those values have changed. So maybe we just shouldn't name schools after individuals.
How about that?
Name them after, like, just the neighborhood. Like, I don't know. It seems simple.
Or their location, like 39th Street.
Yeah.
How about
39th
that?
Street School.
I love that. I love that. Or like do the New York, like PS1, PS2, PS3.
Works for me.
School number 1, school number 2, school number 3. Here we go. Yeah, I don't know about that take, but sorry. That take is a
I
piping
am
hot.
now immediately thinking through all the reasons that might be a bad idea, but
Yeah.
but we're live on the show.
No, I was talking about Michelle DePass's take. I think my take is
okay.
brilliant. Oh, number 1, number 2, number 3, let's go.
Forgive me.
Oh, no. I'm not taking back my take. But yeah, write in, guys. Like, let us know. Portland at citycast.fm. What should we be doing about Cesar Chavez? Should it go back to 39th Ave? Should it go to Dolores? Should we be naming it after something else altogether? The Unipiper? I don't know.
Claudia Meza Boulevard.
Please don't. Cut that. I don't even want that in the ether. All right. Well, let's take a quick break here, and when we come back, John is going to explain all the ways he almost went to Bagby Hot Springs. All right, John, what the hell is going on at Bagby Hot Springs? I thought it was closed.
Bagby Hot Springs, the beautiful hot springs in the Mount Hood National Forest, which careful listeners might remember the story I told a couple weeks ago about how I almost dropped my car off a cliff trying to go there in the middle of the winter. But that's not what we're here to talk about. Ian McCluskey over at OPB just put together a really beautiful article and video sort of about the history of Bagby and about where it's at today. As you mentioned, it has been around since time immemorial. Native Americans had been using it for thousands of years. It is, of course, named after the white man Bob Bagby, who discovered the site in 1880. So maybe another potential candidate for a name change. But I digress.
Hot Springs number 3.
Hot Springs number 3. It's been around for a long time. You know, there's been a guard station or a bathhouse on that site for well over 100 years. I mean, but for the last several decades at this point, it's really become known for two things. One is gorgeous, serene, beautiful natural landscape. You have to walk through the woods 1.5 miles to even get to it. Gorgeous, gorgeous setting. And for being a magnet for crime, vandalism, trash, and like all manner of bad behavior and like ill repute. The bathhouse was actually condemned in 2018 and slated for demolition. So I think a lot of us have this idea of like, oh yeah, Bagby closed down. Like nobody goes to Bagby anymore, right? That's not true. There's a couple named Mike and Tamara Recife who are working to restore Bagby Hot Springs. They actually got a contract from the Forest Service to work on it. Funny story, this couple like when one of their early dates went to Bagby together, had a beautiful time out in the woods, and then their car was stolen. They found it nearby, torched, but they still, yes, but they still like thought this place had so much potential, despite the torched car, decided to commit themselves to revitalizing it. And this is the project that they're working on right now. They've been restoring the park. It actually reopened in 2024. There is now a fee for people to soak. It costs $5. And they're working on removing trash, repairing the tubs, like, maintenance, potentially looking to build more infrastructure in there. But it is still this place that's sort of caught at this moment of tension in between just the beautiful, serene place that it could be and its sort of lingering, nasty reputation as a dangerous, dirty,
floating Band-Aid.
Floating Band-Aid, where people go and leave cans of beer and paint graffiti. So
smuggling soup in bags.
Have you the soup in a bag makes a reappearance on the podcast after a year. Claudia is obsessed with heating soup in a bag in a hot spring, I believe.
It's perfect. Can we just talk about how that's perfect?
We confirmed previously that this is not proper hot spring etiquette.
A little sous vide. It's a little sous vide.
This is Claudia.
Because you jump out, you get cold, right? You have your little soup.
I don't know if you're the problem or if you're the future of hot springs.
Whatever, just move on. Ignore me. Ignore my brilliant ideas. Move on.
All to say. Have either of you been to Bagby? I do feel like it is a beautiful...
I've done all the things of ill repute there.
Have you?
Wait.
Oh, yeah.
You've torched a car?
No, I've not. No, I did not torch the nice couple's car.
Did you mug anybody?
No, not the worst things. Like medium tier. I was with a couple of friends and we made like blueberry pancakes in the morning, like little blueberry pancakes. And then we just stuffed them in like a Ziploc bag and brought a jar of peanut butter. And then we took them to Bagby and ate it.
Did you put the bag in the hot spring?
No, I didn't reheat up. No, I believe they were cold. We didn't sous vide our blueberry pancakes, no.
Cold pancakes in a hot spring. It doesn't make sense. It's right there.
But you've never been, Claudia?
I don't like nudity that I do not invite into my own home.
Oh, I didn't go nude.
Technically, with the new rules, with this new management, they say that nudity is no longer allowed at Bagby.
I think that's helpful.
Let's think about like what we've been talking about, and you can sort of predict whether people are following those rules or not. But technically, but that's sort of the clinch of it, is that like they're sort of trying to bring order, trying to like civilize this space.
Do you think they're going to be able to clean it up? I just feel like Bagby is like the bad high school. So Brightonbush is the good high school. And then you get pregnant or you join a gang and you have to go to Bagby. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I freaking love Brightonbush. I went there in September.
But it's like bougie compared. Do you know, like it's like a functional.
Very functional, yes.
Slightly resortish.
The people are a little goofy, but.
Yeah. Here I am. Talking all this nonsense, never been to Bagby.
I think you bring up a good point, though, because historically, the thing that was beautiful about Bagby was its self-governance, was the fact that we all sort of, as a extended community, agreed to take care of this place together. And I think that once somewhere gets as well known and has as much notoriety as a Bagby Hot Springs, sort of reinforcing that is really difficult. So yeah, I imagine they can clean it up. I imagine that they can professionalize it. And I imagine that they can sort of put in the infrastructure to turn it into something closer to a Brightonbush, where it is a little bit more structured, where it is a little bit more expensive. And you would lose some of that raw freedom that Bagby is known for, and that people, even if they're not fucking it up, that they love about it. It is sort of like, I think some of that magic is inherently going to be gone. But I hope that it stays a place, because it is really beautiful. Like, I haven't been there in a while, I think partially because of the stuff that we've been talking about. But the one time I did make it there successfully, it was one of my all-time favorite Oregon moments.
Yeah. Well, you guys, before we head out, we have some shout outs from members of our Portland Neighbors program. One of the perks of being a paying member of CityCast Portland is the opportunity to shout out a local business or organization that you love. I've noticed that listeners who are not part of this program are now emailing us their shout out. I think that's really sweet. It's not going to happen.
Gotta be a member, baby.
You gotta pay, baby. Just kidding. Sometimes we still do it in the mailbag because we can't help it.
Because we like them.
Yeah. You want to kick us off, John?
Yeah, we don't always identify people by full name, but since this one is friend of the show, Greg Raceman, I want to say thank you for writing in with a shout out that we actually discussed in our newsletter not that long ago. Here's what Greg has to say. There's been a lot of posts in Reddit from newcomers talking about how it's hard to find new friends here. So a regular poster named Snoogazi posts gatherings that they put together all the time intentionally to make friends, alcohol-free events, and they have people identified to help folks who are introverted or socially awkward. Knowing Snoogazi is out there creating camaraderie brings me a lot of joy. Shout out to Snoogazi.
Oh, what a cool name, too.
Yeah.
Like, I love that handle. I have one from Yaya N. Bumblebee Flowers and Tea in Lake Oswego is a delicious and delightful place to go for lunches, more traditional tea service, or dinners on Fridays and Saturdays. Their teas are carefully chosen along farm to tea standards, and their meals are truly a culinary delight. Their lobster is outrageous. A tea place that has lobster? Oh my God. She goes on to say, although expensive, it is a real treat.
Lobster and tea. I like it.
Yeah, we gotta let Rachel know. She's our tea kind of like connoisseur on the team.
Yeah. Well, I got one more from Beverly R. shouting out Black Rose Liquor on 182nd and Powell has the best selection, prices, and people. Friendly staff can help you select something new or different, and the vast assortment of beers, liquors, and hard-to-find bottles is terrific. BIPOC owned and operated. Love this place. A friendly liquor store. That is a real find.
I have a friendly liquor store. Shout out St. John's Liquor Store. I love them.
Sneaking it in there, Claudia.
Shout out St. John's. All right. Shout out to Greg, Yaya, and Beverly, and St. John's. And a huge thanks to our newest member, Robert M. When you join as a Portland neighbor, we'd also be happy to read out your shout outs of places that you love in Portland, alongside of other perks like ad-free listening. You can join at membership.citycast.fm. All right, you guys, thank you so much for hanging out with me, Sophie and John. That's all for today here on CityCast Portland. Thank you so much for listening. If you enjoyed the show, please share it with a friend, rate or leave us a review. We'll be back tomorrow morning with more from around the city. Until then, see you at Slim's or at Bagby, maybe. I don't know.
See you with a bag of soup at the hot tub.